November 28th, 2023. I have a dream, and in this dream, I wake up, and I knew the presence of Jesus was there, and I could see, like, on the outside of my house, the light shining in the light about to come in the house, and I knew he was at the door, and I had to let him in. So as I got up from my bed to let Jesus in my house, I can automatically see in 360-degree radius, and it was Satan grabbing me from behind, trying to kill me. Then Jesus, I screamed out for him, "Jesus, help me, help me." Then Jesus came in and cast Satan out and away. That is a good thing. Then he stood there. He had his coat on with his head covering. And in an urgency, the way that he was walking and we left the house, we are walking in modern days on our modern day city sidewalks. And as we're walking, he makes like to my right, a right-hand turn, and we're in like an ancient of days, and we're in like a building like he would have taught in, of like a congregation. But before we got into the main entrance hall, we're walking down this corridor, and the whole building is made out of stone, and the whole thing of when we go into the ancient days and even from the modern days, it is like this gray, ominous thing, and the only thing that lights it up and pierces through it is Jesus's light. So as Jesus and I are walking down this corridor, I'm to his right, and Mother Mary is standing there. And I knew it was Mother Mary. Automatically, I knew it was Mother Mary. And Mother Mary had such a bewildered look on her face for Jesus. Like that's her son. And the bewilderment that she felt for him was written all over her face. And behind her was this wood table. The only way I could describe it is like a picnic table. And this picnic table, when I was taken up in spirit before to heaven, and I seen Jesus coming out of his palace, and I seen that beautiful wood table that he made for friends and family. And he came out with bread, and he said, "Break bread with me." And he had it on a cutting board, and he cut it in half and held it up and said, "Break bread with me. Tell them to break bread with me." So I seen that table behind Mother Mary. And then we walk into this building, into the entrance hall of it, to where he used to teach. And he walked all the way to the back. There was no one in the room, and it was like rounded ceilings. And he had me sit to the right, like in the middle of the room. The room was huge. And so I sat there, and then I could see 360 degrees that I had a covering over my head. And then I had my notebook like this, my notebook. But as I had the notebook down on my lap, and I had my pen, and it was blue ink, and I just made a star like this at the top of it, because I was getting prepared to write down everything that Jesus said. And I knew that star meant page 1. I knew that star meant page 1. But as Jesus is sitting there. These people come in, they're all men, and I knew automatically that they were Pharisees and like Pharisees, and Jesus was waiting for them to quiet down, to listen to what he had to say. All they did was talk amongst themselves about their teaching and about other things. It was like in slow motion, fast motion. Then I felt the presence of Mother Mary outside that door, still with being bewildered by Jesus, by the way what he was going through at this moment. So then Jesus began to speak about how he does his Father's will. He sat on the chair. He sat on a chair. He sat on a chair. He didn't stand. And he had the covering over his head. And no one would silence themselves to listen to him at all. He became angry, got up, and left, and I followed behind him. Then we're at another place instantly. And as we come upon this place, and I could tell you the sky and everything in these places is gray. There is no blue in the sky. It's gray. The only thing that is lighting it up is Jesus. We were walking on this path, coming up upon a well. And this path was, the dirt and the soil was just sand. Even if you, I don't even know how to even describe this. The ground was hard. There was nothing but sporadic weeds here and there. I mean, weeds choking about. As we walked up to the well, I looked at that well and I thought to myself, I would not drink from that well. I would not drink from that well. Why would Jesus want to go up there and drink from that well? It looked worse than that, with the weeds choked around it. Then I looked to the right, and there was a small cement building. I knew it was made out of cinder blocks, and I knew it had like a whitewash covering over it to make it look smooth. It on the side where me and Jesus were, I didn't see any windows or doors, so I went around it. And I had to go up like an incline, and I went around it, and the ground, it was quite horrible. And I'm looking, and I'm like, there is no windows or doors to this. As I spun around, I noticed a woman, a white woman with blonde hair, age bracket would be like, I would say late 20s to late 30s. And she's standing by a river, and I automatically knew that she knew you had to be baptized, but believed her own way and thought that she didn't have to do it. And I was quite some distance from Jesus. Then I heard Jesus say, I will pay you for a drink of water. To this woman, I will pay you for a drink of water. She went and walked toward Jesus to get paid for a drink of water. I automatically flew. It wasn't that I was flying, but it was like I came there real fast, but he held in his left hand, and I'm going to show you. a wood cup, but this wood cup had a top on it, and it was a gray wood. It had cracks in the wood. It had a top with a slit on top of it that looked like a how you put stuff in a penny bank, and it was in his left hand. I mean, like old petrified wood, like how you see a barn, like an old barn where the wood is cracking from being in the sun. And the cup was kind of like that tall, but it was wood, but it was more of a petrified looking wood, a gray wood in his left hand. That is not a good thing when God holds things in his left hand. So as she goes to get paid from the money in this cup, I myself thought aloud, I will give you a drink of water for free. And I stepped in with my left foot first, my whole left leg and my whole left being, and was in between her and Jesus, where I cut her off from, like, wow, why would you have Jesus pay you to get him a drink of water? Then Jesus lets go of the cup and drops it to the ground. And out spills silver coins that were highly tarnished. And they were this small. This is someone's finger. They were this small. And I knew automatically they were silver coins. They were Jesus's silver coins. And it was smooth on each side, because I kneeled down and picked up these silver coins, and Jesus handed to me with his right hand the cup that he dropped. As I'm picking them up, he handed me the cup to put all the silver coins back inside this cup through that little slot. Then I noticed a button, one button, and I knew it to be Jesus's button. And I know that the high priest had buttons on their clothing. I just knew, I know that. So after that, I handed him back his cup, and he took it back with his right hand with all of the coins in there and the button. And then we are walking again on modern city streets, and Jesus stopped and put his face in his hands and wept and wept and said this, "Do I have to do it again?" And I woke up. It took me 8 hours to be able to do this video.